Welcome to this week's Herping podcast. This is episode 14, Reptiles on the Run, with the awesome MCC Reptile Courier. This week, we wanted to bring to you how couriering your reptile safely works, all the work that goes into successfully running a courier, and what happens to your animals along the way. We get a lot of questions as small hobbyist breeders from different people who haven't used couriers before or who are worried about using a courier for their much-loved pets. So let's welcome Shelley and Rhys, who run MCC Reptile Couriers and who also runs Mollo's Cresties and Critters. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Right.
Can you tell us a bit about yourselves and what got you into the world of reptiles and exotics and what inspired you to become a reptile courier?
Well, both our stories are a little bit started off a little bit different. Mine was because I wanted a reptile for years and years and years, and I was never allowed one. And then when I found myself single, I got my first 2 crested geckos. Of course, I did everything wrong, and it kind of went from there. I just fell in love with having these funny, like cold-blooded little things running around. And I got my second and my third and my fourth and my fifth, and it just grew and grew. Then my dad surprised me with a bearded dragon for a present that was a rescue. He's like, "Here you go, have this."
Wow.
Okay, I know nothing about these, so that was another thing of, and yeah, then I bred mice at the time as well for pet homes and things, which then introduced me to someone who bred snakes, and that then started me down the snake path. And by that time, I was with Rhys, who told me we would never have snakes, and I think 30.
That was me.
Yeah,
I did that too.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, loads.
But you had a different start, didn't you?
Yeah, I've had loads of animals over the years and worked with loads of different types. I had my first snake. Well, I had a pair of them actually. I wasn't too short on the snakes, looking after them, because I was obviously starting out. I was told, I think that they were royal pythons, but looking back at it, they weren't royal pythons. I think more like they were anacondas, to be fair. How they could get them wrong, well, yeah, that's I don't know how they got that one wrong.
Huge and savage.
Yeah, they were proper savage. The female, she was nasty. She escaped, basically. They both escaped. I found the male, he was wrapped around the toilet roll in my mum and dad's place, and then the female decided to come up when my mum was in the shower and be in her face. Yeah, it was then time to get rid of them because they were just not good. But and she bit me as well. Yeah, that was the thing. She was very aggressive, so it put me right off them. Didn't want any snakes. And then
had leopard geckos.
I had leopard geckos. We had an iguana with Craig. Yeah, massive thing. Rocky
You used to sleep in your washing machine.
Yes, yeah, that was quite funny actually. Rocky used to sleep in the washing machine. Yeah, you say, couldn't get him out. Yeah. Try getting him out.
Our cats do that. Sleep in the
But,
and then we got together and I said, no, we're not having snakes. And yeah, here we are with 30 odd snakes now.
But, we actually decided probably not long after we got together that we'd like to do the courier thing. With having the reptiles ourselves and stuff, we thought it'd be good because we fell out with another courier in the industry big time, and found it increasingly difficult to get reptiles delivered or shipped out to where we needed to. So we said, well, hey, let's do it ourselves. Then George started Rapid Reptiles, so we decided to hold off because there's no point. He was doing a great job. But yeah, we finally bit the bullet when he told us he was coming to an end, and that kind of gave us a kick up the bum to go out and get a van and
get it started,
get going, and here we are.
Going from there, really.
Yeah, and it went from strength to strength. We're doing really well. We like to think that that people are happy with us. They certainly haven't told us otherwise yet.
I've seen a lot of people recommend and put your name out there. It's like, even like in sides of the hobby that I don't even know exist, they'll put your name out. Who do you use? MCC. So definitely I've got quite a following now with the courier side, especially.
Yeah, that's good.
I've always had good responses from people that you've delivered to for me, so I've always said, they're so lovely.
Oh, that's good. That's mostly him, because like, there's so many people. I deal with you guys, and then he deals with the other one. So you know, luckily he's all right. He's people friendly.
He's all right.
Yeah, no, it's good, to be fair.
So was it quite difficult to start up the Courier when you decided to go ahead with it? You know, like getting the right van and getting it set up, and you know, like all the beforehand checks, such as the DEFRA side of things.
Very much so. Very difficult.
It was a lot of it, mostly being because when we decided to do this business, we were promised help, government help, if we got customers, if we did this, if we did that. So the financial side of it was a big struggle, because we had to do the majority of it on our own, neither of us having a sort of a proper job at that time because of the anxiety side of things. It was hard finding a van that was within our budget that was going to be able to do the miles, because I mean we do over 6,000 miles in 8 days.
A lot of miles.
We needed a van that wasn't hanging, but that we could have actually afford, and then we had to kit it all out to a standard we was happy with.
We found the little green machine.
So we found a little green van, which we thought would last us a while in size and running. And then we had to look into kitting it out. We had to research sort of how we could power everything we wanted in there, because even though Rhys has done some electronic stuff, and you know, we knew how to heat our animals at home, making that mobile was a completely new experience.
Definitely.
So that kind of went, use all the electrics, and I faffed around with the woodwork.
And it looked good in the end.
It did. The green van looked awesome.
Just try sleeping in it. It was a nightmare. I had enough room in the back to actually stay with the animals, because I'd rather stay with them if there's any problems. And I had to sleep in the front, and there's just no room. There was no leg room, nothing. It was a nightmare. Pretty much. My head was hanging out the door at one point. You know?
Have to open the windows on both sides.
And then I wonder why I'm all frozen.
Especially because you had company, didn't you? On the first few rides with Dan. He's not a small man, so these two fairly big guys.
I was like, yeah, great, thanks for that.
Oh my god.
But so there was
didn't we?
a lot to, and getting the DEFRA license, sort of looking into that as well. They're not very clear with what you actually need, so there's a lot of phone calls.
So basically, they treat you as if you're a farmer. Basically, if you're transporting your farm, your farm animals, they want to know the ventilation for the van. They want to know what sizes of bits and pieces are in there, etc., etc. But the van's nothing like what
reptiles are different to cows, and
we don't need massive vents. You obviously need air vents and stuff for circulation. Mm-hmm. I don't need massive vents all down.
You don't need to be cutting the van in half.
Exactly. And that's what they were looking at, and they were saying, well, where's your air coming from? Well, the vent.
There's one in the room. The door several times a day, it's fine.
And it was very difficult to get that.
It was to get it across, wasn't it? It was initially trying to hold it to like cattle transporting standards.
So they wanted displays in the driver's cabs, which technically I don't need because it's on alarms and I can hear it. Yeah. But they wanted the temperature gauge is there and right in front of you, and it's like, well, okay, I've got to try and get that to come into the cab, which is a nightmare. But we've done it, so
yeah.
That surprises me really, because DEFRA is very specific, although a lot of it is open to interpretation, unfortunately. So for yourselves, it'll be one thing, and then for someone else, it'll be entirely different, which I feel is, an incorrect way to move forward with this kind of thing.
It is, because if you're regulating things en masse or like farm animals and stuff, and you've got set definitions for them, it can't be that difficult to go, right, we'll have an exotics expert in, and then have set rules for them then.
That's what I need.
Because the forms you fill in are ridiculous, honestly. It was coming up with all, obviously all the calculations for a big van and what they need for transporting horses, cows, and we're like, okay, I just have to say transporting reptiles.
Yeah, my reptile's this big, not this big.
Exactly, and then they send it back saying, well, how many reptiles? Well, I haven't got a clue. It could be 1, 200, I don't know. But luckily the woman we saw, she was nice,
really nice.
actually.
Yeah, she asked us a lot of questions, and then she basically turned around and said, "Well, she said, I can tell that you're very knowledgeable. You know what you're talking about. So I have faith in you that you know what you're doing." She's really nice because she openly admitted to us. She said, "Look, I don't have a clue what I'm doing when it comes to reptiles."
Yeah, and that's the problem, isn't it? Sometimes.
Yeah. It's like with vets, you struggle to find a dedicated exotic vet because there's not that many people well versed enough, and the people who are well versed enough don't take the professional field and go into things like DEFRA or the veterinary side and stick into the hobby side. So when you've got someone who's incredibly knowledgeable in the hobby, because they've not got like the credentials behind them to be in these professional places, they get kind of shunned and looked away from.
Yeah,
these types of people that can be guiding DEFRA and stuff and saying, look, no, this is probably what your standards should be. Going forward.
I think they do. I mean, we've seen inside some other vans, not naming names and not trying to big ourselves up here, because there are some other fantastic couriers out there, but we have seen inside of a couple of other vans that have supposedly have their DEFRA license, and the standard is very different to what we felt was a pass.
Yeah.
So, but they've apparently gone down the same channels and they got passed for what they had.
See, that's where open to interpretation comes in again.
Yeah.
It's different in each borough, isn't it?
Yeah.
In each part of the UK, it depends who you get on the day. Like you've just said.
Yeah.
Who you get to speak.
It's so. What kind of setup do you decide to do on board? That would gain you successful DEFRA license. Obviously, I build racks and vivs and stuff, so I know that you'd obviously need a specific rack and you'd have to heat it and that kind of thing. You'd have to have it statted. So,
well, what the thing we took was we basically went with what we would be happy with. I spoke to some other people as well when I was looking at starting up. And run some of my ideas past them, and sort of we then brainstormed it together and we said, right, well, this is what we want. We want to have separate compartments that we can alter the temperature in, so that snakes can be different to geckos. We also then wanted to make sure that we could keep them separate because we don't want geckos in snake tanks.
Yeah.
So that's we went around it that way, and we knew that we would have to have it heated. It would have to be temperature controlled, and basically built what we would be happy with, and as I say, what other people have said that they would be happy with, and we took that to DEFRA and say the only thing that they come back with was the temperature gauges in the cab, which we felt we didn't need because as I say, everything was alarmed and we can hear the alarms clearly in the cab. But we said, well, fair enough, and we went away and we put the alarms in, you put the alarms in and they were happy with that. So we knew that from what other people that had been passed with a DEFRA license, we knew that what we had done easily covered what they had done. And that's kind of how we went with it. I mean, we spoke to other people. George, bless him, was really happy to talk through stuff that we was a little bit fuzzy on, and he helped us go from there. He's actually, bless him, he was very supportive.
Do you need any specific insurance on the van? Because you carry reptiles, and do you also need public liability insurance? I wasn't sure about the public liability thing because I'm not sure how much it covers. I know it covers for if you say, for instance, had a property that the public was going to, but as you're just a van, I'm not sure if you would need that element.
It's all very grey area with courier and reptiles and insurance. We know there's couriers out there that don't have it. We know there's couriers out there that have a limited amount that only cover up to an amount. One courier even said to us, there's no point in you getting insurance because it will only pay out to a certain level and you'll be carrying animals more expensive than that. But that said, we did a lot of research. Rhys did a lot of research and he found us an insurance that does cover public liability. It covers us to the extent of if any of them animals get out and injure anybody, we are covered, they are covered, everyone's covered, and they will cover up to, I think it's up to 500,000 or a mil. So it'll cover up to $1 million in damages either to the animals, to the van. So when there's more than one courier out there that says that they can't get insurance to cover your animal, it's
They
not
just
true.
haven't done the research.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't cover you. It's not specifically for couriering, but it is an animal insurance that covers you for taxiing animals and things like that, and we are perfectly covered.
Yeah,
so
basically it's the same thing.
so yeah,
Taxi
if a
and
courier tells you they can't be insured for a lot, that's not true.
No.
Yeah.
It's most likely probably just an outgoing that they don't want to cover.
Yeah.
Actually, no,
It's not
it's
expensive.
really cheap.
It's
You say that, but some people very much think profit is priority. So whether it's 5p or to them that's 5p. Could buy a Freddo, with this Freddo.
I mean, we very rarely pay anything off yearly, right? Because obviously you need to make money. But this, we paid it off.
Yeah, we paid it yearly.
That's how cheap it is. You can just go, oh, do you know what? They're done. We're covered.
Take the money.
Happy days.
But that just shows that you want the best for your animals when they're on board. So it lets people know that you do want to do it right and you do care.
It is a lot of responsibility, isn't it? Because people take their animals incredibly seriously. Like some people take it to a whole new level, and obviously it covers your back, their back, and it makes you feel more at ease as somebody that's getting their animal brought to them. That everything is covered, everything's above board, everything's there. Anything was to go wrong, there's no one to blame really, because everybody gets the help they need with that insurance. So it does make people. It would. If I didn't know you guys and didn't trust you guys, and I was just coming straight into it, and like I think I mentioned my friend, she's getting a dragon couriered. For example, if I was in her shoes, it'd make me feel a whole lot better and more secure in a situation, knowing that this person has all the insurances and then the van's fully kitted out properly to ensure that animals will arrive to me in the best condition it can.
It's nice to know that you're not going with the bare minimum and that you are going above and beyond, because you're not just thinking about yourselves. Obviously, you are running a business, you do have food that needs to be put on the table, but you're still being considerate of, you're transporting people's animals, people's family members, like you're going the extra step. So it's really nice to hear that.
Well, that is one thing we decided from the very beginning, that we didn't want the bare minimum. No. We wanted it to be, we wanted people to look at the van and go, yeah, my animal's going to be safe. I mean, with the new van, we've even upgraded a step further, that all of our compartments now have see-through doors, so that it makes it even easier to quick check an animal. So if Rhys is going in to take out one, he can have a quick glance around and go, yeah, everyone looks all right. I mean, obviously it's a bit more, he goes more in depth, but it's meant that we have a clearer view of what's going on in each chamber. I mean, sometimes the animals, he's given them in really bad boxes that are like barely held together. And we have had an animal escape, but because we have it in a chamber, with the doors, we can go, oh, well, that shouldn't be there.
Oh, it's when it's looking at you, I wake up asleep. Wake up asleep. And I wake up and you hear this banging look, and there's a snake looking right at you. I'm like, you're not supposed to be there. Now I got to catch you.
But we do now take more precautions, and
they're all in lots. Like I put them in the
really
lots.
useful boxes, which they
really
can't get out of. Or we like triple, quadruple band boxes.
No, I don't bother with bands anymore because they don't even hold them.
They just
I mean, I've had people where they've triple banned them everywhere, every direction you can think of, and it's only a baby python, it can still get out. It still smashes out in the corner.
Masses of escape.
No,
the pythons, the royals are the worst, to be fair. They are terrible.
Yeah.
Incredibly inquisitive snakes. That's their fault.
At least you've got two-step authentication now with your doors at the front. That's really a cool idea, though. That
it is.
Yeah.
It is.
That's another reason why we wanted compartments for each animal. It's not only so that we can have the snakes hotter than the geckos, but it's also if a snake gets out, it's only in there's only other snakes in the boxes, so they're not really in care. But if you get a snake get out and he's going around all the gecko boxes,
gecko.
That wouldn't be good. So that's another reason for the compartments. It's so no snake can get near any gecko or any other sort of reptile we have on board or amphibian.
Yeah, we completely.
Cool idea.
I like the whole separate thing. That's pretty smart. I don't think I've seen another courier do that way before.
Yeah, because even the Cresties are kept separate from the leopards. They're all got their own separate chambers completely. So I know it's easy for me then because I know what's what. But it's nice to keep them separate.
Yeah. I love that. That's really
I try to keep them in the black plastic boxes as well, so they're not stressed out.
You can't see each other.
I know I can't see them then, so ones like that, I do have
top.
to take them out and have a quick look. But it's better for them. You know, they're not looking at each other. They're not stressing. And to be honest, they can see through the glass on the other side, so they can probably see the snake looking that way. You know? The poor little things like
snake over there. Oh. That's also why I don't think any other courier service does this either. We actually offer people free Reptiles boxes. If they, when they're sort of booking in, I will ask them if they want one, and we will provide them a free box if all they have is a cricket tub or a salad box. We say, well, don't worry, have one of ours, because then at least we know it's in
a good
useful container. It's in a hinge lid, which makes watering and feeding sometimes that much easier. So okay, we can only go up a couple of sizes with them, but it means that again the animal is in something that's safe and suitable to transport it in.
It's better than not trying at all. At least you're making that extra effort to ensure safe travel. You're not just taking everything and all that. You are actually going the extra mile. So
the snakes that we get, and they're in bags, I don't like them in bags. So if I get the chance, I will take them out of the bag, put them into a container, so I can make sure they got water on them.
Because I know some people use snake bags to hide conditions and stuff. Yeah. They're like, oh, it's a snake bag.
I check them. See, I do check them.
I've seen some people try and get away with it.
I'm like, oh, he's coming out.
They'll send an animal off, but then try and blame the courier for their own animal being in that state when it's them. So that's that's really that's
people that will tell me, like, a couple of people have said, oh, look, this snake does look really skinny. It does look like it's underweight, but it's just, it's just laid its clutch, blah, blah, blah. And I've spoke to the person it's going to. So I'll double check with that person that
that they know that
he stole them.
Yeah.
And I'll always relay it and say, but I will take a photograph as well.
If an animal does look really sick, though, we will refuse to courier it.
Yeah, I won't.
Yeah. Which is, it covers your back there, because if it's got something contagious.
Yeah.
On your head then, innit? So that's
contagious.
We do our best, because obviously things with like mites and stuff like that. So we never reuse containers or dishes or anything on a run, and they're brought home and they are properly sterilised before we use them again, because we use rubs to move snakes into from bags and things. Rhys is always cleaning his hands in between each time he goes to an animal, because of that reason. Because you do get snakes. I mean, there was a Cresties that had the outbreak of worms that went around. There was a few different keepers that suddenly realised they had worms.
Yeah,
who had some of their geckos on board, and I felt confident enough to say that there wasn't cross contamination to other people's geckos, because we are very. Or you?
I don't take them out. I won't take them out of their tubs unless it's really necessary.
Yeah.
Even for cleaning, because most of the geckos, the last lot, for example, were crazy. They were just super wanted to rip my head off and growling, hissing at me, and I don't know what they'd been fed, but they were on one, I tell you. But most of the time, I'll open the tub and I'll just pull the kitchen roll out, put another bit in as much as I can, spray it, done, and they stay in that tub. Unless I can't do it, then I will transfer them into a clean tub. But then it's always sprayed with F10 after, so there's no cross contamination.
Yeah.
This is the last thing you want, really, to be fair.
Yeah.
But the majority of the time they stay well in their own cases.
Yeah. No. At the end of the day, again, something else we agreed with is, okay, yeah, we're paying out for these boxes. It's not covered in our fee, but it's more important to us that everything is moved safely. And again, it goes back to the snakes in snake bags. We'll move them into the really useful boxes. We'll then transfer them back into a snake bag to take them back to the person. but on the entire journey, they are in a box where they can move. If they poo, it can be cleaned out. We can give them water.
Also, it just depends on the snake, though.
Yes,
not every snake will let me.
Not every snake can be moved out of a snake bag, unfortunately.
I do. If I do get a snake like that, then I'll put it in the box and leave the bag open, so it's got his option to come out if it wants to. But then when I give it back to the person, then I'll ask them to put it back in the bag. If it's a very shy or aggressive snake, then they can have it. But I do.
That's no problem.
I do like to keep, like we said, keep them in the boxes. So
just better for transporting and for
caring. It's less stressful for them, isn't it?
And it's like them little cricket tubs that people send them in. They're so rough on the inside. I always worry.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. So it's like, nope, you're coming out of there. You can go in this Braplast and they can have that.
When I send reptiles, I only ever use Braplast because I just think they're much better.
Yeah.
They are, definitely.
They are.
And I also use black as well if I can, or white, because you can't see through it. Then I try not to use the clear stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just another added stress factor if you can see out there and you're seeing like all these other eyes staring at you, potential predators. It's like,
yes,
am I gonna die?
So what kind of process do you follow then when you're getting started with a run? So do you use a sort of specific software that helps you to pinpoint everything, or do you do it all by hand, when you're planning a route?
Well, it's kind of a mix of both. Initially, we started off planning the routes ourselves, and it took us hours and hours to do, because obviously you've got dropping off and picking off all over the place, and you zigzag everywhere. Yeah, our runs were being longer, and so we managed to find a software that it's quite basic but efficient enough that it knows you can link pick up and drop offs, and it planned the route, and it shortened our time down. But then when it comes to working out people's time, that goes back to being manually done. I'll get my order list from the software, and then I have to go through each one with good old Google, putting the postcode in and working how long it takes to get to the next place, and leaving sort of a gap in between. So that's
very stressful.
Yeah, it's very stressful with 2 little kids and a baby that keeps wanting me to stop every 5 minutes.
Oh, she nodded to me then. She went, "When a baby." Hang on.
A real baby.
But it's and usually then I try and do a day at a time, and then I manually text each person. As you've seen, the message is copy and pasted, and then I put in people's details. I'm not one for going, "Hi, here's your date and time." I like to say people's names. It's like you.
Very special.
It's a small talk.
People.
Very personal one. It's a very personal one. Like just someone simply saying your name instead of "Hey, 849321." Your name.
So it can be quite a long drawn out process. That's why I always give us from the 1st to the 5th. Well, the 1st to the 4th. So that should give us 4 days to plan the route, to get the times done, and then ready to text everyone on the 5th. However, lately with the baby and that, I might have to revisit that a little, because it's been sort of 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm still sat there with Google trying to look at my thing going, what postcode is that? And the last thing I want to do is make mistakes, so I get really stressed and really anxious. It's I can't see this properly. What if I put it in the wrong order? But it generally all goes off without a hitch, which is good. And so as you know, on the 5th of every month, we then message everybody with their dates and times. Usually 2 or 3 days later, I'm sat there on the phone going, this person hasn't replied to my message. They haven't replied, so I then go through the list and message everybody again saying, did you get my message? And most of the time they go, oh yeah, I forgot. And I'm sat there just please say you've got it, and then I don't have to chase you. I think some people just like being chased because the occasional person does it every single time. You've not responded. Did you get it? Okay. Yeah, and that's the reason we chose sort of to do it on the 5th as well, because we try and do our runs around about the same week each month. Yeah, it's so people, they always kind of know then when our run is going to be. So even though they ask to say, they if they get a customer, they can go, well, it's usually around about then. I mean, yeah, people still obviously message and ask because that start date does change, but it's generally always the same week. But it always closes on the 1st, and we always have people's information out on the 5th.
Do you find that works well for you, how you run it with regards to, you know, people coming at you with bookings and then you responding and then having the text message service?
Yes.
I mean, I would like to have some form of booking.
You would
form.
like it to, booking form would be a bit smoother because the messages do come in all over the place.
If I get one, well, we both get the message. So if I accidentally open it, for example,
it's too easy for me to miss. We do have a thing where we screenshot every booking. Yeah, so when it comes to the end of sort of getting near the end of time, I can sit and go through all the screenshots and make sure that everything correlates. But it is time consuming. We would like to find something that's a
booking system quicker, online booking system,
and we can
so much easier.
Just give people
print
a
it
link
off and see who's booked. It'll tell you who's paid. You know,
yeah, that's actually a good idea.
You can get those. I don't know who the providers are of them, but you definitely can get them, and then you get sort of emailed the booking then.
I have to definitely look into it because I think that'll be.
We want to, as soon as I get 5 minutes, I want to, a bit more than that, but I want to start the website, and we can have a booking form on there and hope for it that way. But in that sense of things, it works. It's not flawless. It is a lot of double and triple checking to make sure we don't miss anyone out.
Very time consuming.
That's always my biggest fear, but it does get sort of from the 1st to the run. I am pretty much work from the moment I get up to the moment I go to bed, which isn't ideal. But again, at the end of the day, it's because I need to make sure everything's right. I get very, anxious. So it is just checking everything, because I'd hate that if someone messaged up and say, well, you're supposed to have delivered something to me on this run and you haven't. And I'll be like, oh.
Me, I still get
I'm
that.
so sorry.
Because I can imagine, obviously, you know, you've got your friends within the hobby with you breeding Cresties as well. I can imagine they'll message Mollos or they'll message your actual personal page as well. So then it's like 7 different places that you're getting these bookings from. So it's baffling, really.
Yeah, because I've got the Mollos, then I've got the MCC Facebook page, then I've got Mollo's Instagram, then I've got MCC Instagram to check, then I've got the text messages, then I've got email, then I've got my private Facebook. Then I've got WhatsApp.
Yeah, that'll be.
So,
Ellie, my friend wants now.
I always try and make sure that I message on the MCC Facebook every time, because sometimes I have typed out to you on your personal the whole thing, and I'm like, no, must send it here. Just to get confused.
What I actually do, that's why the screenshotting helps. But what I also do is I've made up a spreadsheet so that when I put people's information in, I put a star next to who made the booking, and then I have a column to put where they've made the booking. So if it's the Facebook, if it's Instagram, because he'll call me up and he'll go, I've picked up for so-and-so, but I don't know, I've picked up from here, but where is this one going? Because they've not written on the box. And, who do I contact? And this, that, and the other. And I'm like, so I can go onto my spreadsheet and go, right, well, that person booked it, so I can contact them and talk to them about this and that. And it's for this person. And
that's the one annoying thing.
Oh, you get so frustrated with it.
How would you, as obviously people give you boxes, what layout would you prefer them to have? What information and what layout would you prefer to have on the box that would help?
Exactly as you do it.
Yeah, we'll tell people because they don't know how she does it.
that is true. Yes.
How do you do it? Will you do it, Harley? That's how we want everyone to do it.
We're recording then, too. Well, basically, you just need the details of where it's going. So
even just a name.
Yeah, just a name.
Really.
You can put the postcode on if you want, or you can put just their name on or the full details, either.
Yeah, because if they put the name, you'd have the details of that person's name, wouldn't you? So
that's it, really.
Yeah,
I can just look at the chamber and go, there you go. And if they've got more than one off you, just one of one or one or two.
That would be helpful as well.
Oh yeah, I always try to do that.
Because we've had that before. Generally, whenever a booking is made, I ask people what it is and what it is and how many. That number does change sometimes, and we did have an instance once where we had Rhys had dropped off all the geckos that were written down on the list that we were told about. And as we've driven down the road, we get a phone call saying, I was supposed to have an extra one. And he's gone in the back and gone, oh, there is an extra one, but we didn't have it on the list because, as I say, the number changes and we're not always informed. So having that, you know, one of on the boxes would be so handy.
Yeah. I said majority do that.
Yeah.
But it's when it doesn't happen, it's very confusing.
We do keep it equipped with a permanent marker, don't we?
Yeah.
Yes. Like, so obviously you're running to a tight schedule in a way, because obviously you've got a family to get home to, and then you've got to get these animals efficiently to wherever they're going to live. But a lot of people don't like the fact, like, some people will take weeks upon weeks to receive an animal when it's been couriered out. Like, so that one mishap could set you back then. And obviously it's a chain effect, isn't it? Because you could have like 24 people waiting to receive animals who then have to alter, say, their schedule because they've booked time off or whatever to stay home to receive the animal from you. So it's beneficial for everyone, not just for the people receiving, but for you and then everybody else on your list.
Definitely,
any little mishap will set me back.
Because it's just a case of if he picks up and there's no name on the box, he has to call me. I have to get on the spreadsheet and go, well, you've just picked up from that person. So yeah, it does. It takes a few minutes out. And if, you know, several people a day did that with several boxes, it could set you back. I mean, I try and give Rhys 15 minutes to half an hour at each place, but with traffic and roadworks.
Yeah, that's been a major issue.
Do you have like a specific set of checks or criteria, you know, when you're collecting an animal from a customer, and, you know, like, does it have to be above a certain weight or age? Do you have that criteria when you're picking up, or when you're booking in?
Yeah, for Cresties, definitely. Because we won't take what did we say? What
I won't. If generally I won't take any. Well, we won't take any Cresties under like 5 grams. If I know the people they're coming from and going to, then I will allow that to drop to 3. But definitely no less. With Leos, we're not as up on Leos. So it's more looking at how healthy and the size. If they're absolutely teeny tiny, then, you know, to us, the stress would be too much on something that small.
Yeah.
So that is something you check for, isn't it? Is basically, we're not always told. You know, I try to explain to people and I try to have it on the page. And so far, everybody generally has been pretty good. I don't think we've had to turn away a single person.
No.
I mean, you did a private run for someone once, didn't you? And they come with you, and that was the snake.
Yeah.
And it was easy to see on that one that the snake we picked up, well, Rhys picked up, actually had a problem. The person that we picked up for went with him and didn't see the problem himself. So that has worried us a little bit since then.
So you need
going back
experience.
You know what you were saying about picking up animals and sort of knowing that they're in a good condition to travel and people blaming the courier.
I mean, I will make phone calls if I'm unsure on something. You know, I've had it with a Crestie that it was behaving. It was a rescue Crestie. It was behaving in a very weird, peculiar way. So I straight on the phone to Shell, discuss it and make sure it was okay. It was fine. It might have had issues, hence why it was rescued. You know, but I contacted the people
that you was delivering to, and you let them know.
I let them know that, you know, it had a bit of a head wobble.
Neurological,
It was basically spiraling like snakes do. You know, it was corkscrewing. So it might have had a neurological disorder, but itself, it was eating, it was drinking, it was healthy. I will make phone calls if I don't know. And with Cresties, I'm not massively, you know, experienced with Cresties, so, you know, I'll make a phone call.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, usually when I used to deal with rescues and stuff, I usually put on the box there's some sort of issue because I know that obviously not everyone can be fully versed in every species, and it does help with that little note saying, you know, like I'm aware it's got MBD or I'm aware it's got physiology there. So something like that would be probably a situation like that.
Yeah, I don't think the place that I picked it up from, I don't think they were massively experienced in, you know, Cresties or anything like that, because I don't think they realised that it had that wobble. But as soon as I got it, I realised straight away. So
that's good that you were straight to pick up. You weren't worried. You know, you did.
I made sure it was feeding. Yeah, I mean, I had his food in there. She put it with food in, so I took the food out and gave it back to him when I stopped, obviously, because it'll just go everywhere. And I watched her for about half hour. She was eating fine, so I put some water in on the side, sprayed the box, just to see if she'd drink, if she was drinking. So I was happy. You know, if she hadn't been eating and was cowering in the corner, then it's
you'd have obviously put your concerns forward.
No, she was fine.
Yeah, we do the same. We've gone over between us what we need to sort of look out for and be aware of, and it's also getting used to people that might be moving on less than healthy animals as well.
Yeah.
But Rhys always does check every tub he picks up. He checks to make sure the animal it is moving, it is outwardly healthy.
With the risk of getting bitten all the time.
We've even decided now that Rhys is actually currently doing a herptology course all about sort of learning. Yes, yeah, one of them.
I'm doing that one at the minute too. What module are you on?
He's
what
just
module
started.
Number 3 will make you want to die. Okay, number 3. No, I'm on part 1 of number 3. I want to cry. I want to cry.
I'm doing it for a while and just been so busy.
It's just finding the time to get into it, but
it is a lot. It is a lot.
just everything to help, because as you say, there's so many species out there that almost every run we're getting something new, and it's like on the internet, I'm trying to do as much research as possible into that animal, what temperature it needs, what it needs feeding, so we can get the food on board, how humid it needs to be. And it's something like, like doing this course is hopefully in an aim to help make the care he can give better. I don't honestly see how, but it's an added bit, and it will also help them.
It's something nice and extra to have added blanket. It is a good course. I have found it a good course so far. It doesn't tend to delve too much into keeping. It's more them in the wild. Like it's more wild, stuff like that. But it is a really good course, and I do recommend it. It's quite an informative course. I've learned quite a lot about the frog side of it, especially.
Is that on Animals Direct, that one? Or is it?
No, it's on the Centre of Excellence.
All right. Just because I signed up to one on Animals Direct, but I've not actually had chance to start it because I
think I've seen that one that you're talking about, because I'm going to do the herp one, and then I think I'm going to do the zoology one afterwards. Just because I get bored.
Why not?
The herp is good. Number 3 will make you want to cry.
Happy days. Cheers.
2 days to do one part of that. It's just so much information to remember and everything. And I was just like, I just want to cry.
A lot to take in.
It was a lot to take in.
It is just sort of something else to say to try and make sure that the animals on board are healthy, and if anything, if they was to have an underlying issue and something was to happen on the run, it's knowing what to do with it. Because if you're transporting livestock, there is bound to be a time where something happens to something. You can give animals the best care in the world, and I know this from the farming side of things because I grew up on a farm, and no matter how good your care is, you get animals die. So just to make sure that we are equipped that should that happen, I mean, hopefully it never will, but should we take an animal that is gonna pop its clogs, we can do something to better it.
Sorry, it's not funny, but the way you said that was just brilliant. Do you have a protocol for if something is to pass? Obviously, God forbid it does happen, but do you have a sort of sort of case scenario type thing of what you do?
With our insurance, basically I've got to contact Shelley, let her know, and then contact the insurance, and it goes from there. Then there's loads of paperwork to fill in. Contact Shell or contact
I contact both parties. I would contact both parties straight away.
While I speak to the insurance,
pick up and delivery.
But I suppose it all depends if I'm obviously on a tight, I am on a tight schedule. I normally will, Shelley, I have to do majority of it because obviously
the paperwork side of things. But
the phone calls too. It depends, because I can't really obviously stop to make that phone call. But we do try.
Basic our checklist to follow would be, if we lost an animal, it would be take a photograph of it, take it, get it out of the vehicle as soon as possible. Obviously, we don't want to just discard an animal, but depending on what it is, we can't keep that body on the van.
Yeah, it's for vets as well, because they will disperse it. So
you can contact vets. They will dispose of the bodies. Rhys will then contact me, send me the photo. I will then contact both the breeder or the seller and the buyer and let them know the situation. And then as soon as possible, I'll be on the phone to the insurance. And we've had a look into sort of what they need information wise, so we can make sure that we have everything then prepared to send off to them to stop anybody from waiting. Because, if you've got an animal on board that's worth $5,000 and you want to buy another one, the last thing you want to be doing is sat there waiting for months and months for the insurance.
Yeah.
So, we've kind of got our checklist to try and make this process as quick as possible should we ever need it.
As you know, insurances are not quick though. That's the problem with them. Where we can't control how quick they do the payout, but as long as we do what we need to do, then
but you're doing the best you can.
Exactly.
Yeah. Your half of what's going on, to make it as easy as possible. Obviously, break into someone at their animal as past. It's not something that it can just be brushed past, but that's really good that you have a backup plan. Because I know that I've spoken to couriers before, and they've been like, not a clue, not a clue. They're just like, just like tell them and go from there. And I'm like, okay.
Defra aren't doing their side properly because they're just classed as an animal transporter, aren't they? So Defras aren't saying, well, actually, exotics have an entirely different need to the likes of sheep, pigeons, horses. Is there any instances where you refuse to courier an animal due to its failing health or any welfare checks when you've picked it up at the door?
Not yet.
No, not yet. Everyone seems to have, like I said, been really honest. If there's any little issues like weight loss or it looking really
I suppose there was somebody that wanted us to transport a very large snake. Now our van is because of having the chambers and thing in, we can't. Fitting things in is big things is a bit of a problem. So there was that one that. No, actually, I don't think it was a snake. I think it was a monitor. That's right. It was a monitor.
Yes, it was. Actually,
it was a massive monitor.
No, that would have been cool, but he'd be nose to tail.
Do you have like a length and like a size restrictions
it's the depth. Yeah. So basically, our chambers are different depths because obviously the geckos only need a small depth and the snakes need a bigger one. But this was over a 4-foot lizard. And we couldn't get it into a chamber. No, we do keep stuff on board that we can heat. We can heat any boxes outside the chambers, but it would have taken up a massive part of the back of the van. We would have had to have kept moving it to get into chambers. So we did say no to that because it would have been more stressful for the animal, than us taking it. So we, we said to that guy to try elsewhere. Plus, you'd have had nowhere to sleep.
No, is it?
So what kind of checks and care goes into shipping customers' reptiles on board your van? So what I mean by that is, do you keep paperwork of checks or schedules? Is there a certain amount of time between the checks that you do provide while they're on board?
My checks, I will check them obviously when I pick them up. Check to make sure the gecko's fine, and I will give them a spray if they need a spray. Put them in the chamber, but generally I will keep an eye on them as the day goes through. But generally, when I get to my last stop and I find a service station or wherever I am, I then will, before I do anything, I will make sure if they need feeding, because I'll keep a list of who's been fed. I normally speak to yourselves or to the customer, whoever, when were they fed last, and when they're watered. So I make a note of what you've said, and if they need feeding that night, I will feed them, change them, water them. So I generally do that every night. So I just keep an eye on them constantly. Yeah. Basically, I don't have a certain time of doing it. It's done throughout the whole day and the whole night. So
you were treating them like they're your own animals while they're on board.
Have that approach that these, what I would expect of someone to do for my, my animals, I treat them as they're my babies, basically.
We keep disposable pots on board, so every night everything gets watered. There are obviously the really aggressive snakes in bags. We can't, but we try to make sure that they're in a way that we can water them.
The angry leopards
that hiss at you like cats.
They stand up on like all four. Like the cat off Shrek when he has coughing with the fur ball. They stand up, stick the tail in the end.
Yeah, Leos have the worst attitude when they're born. Like, how many times have you just had one dangling off your finger? Like, you don't feel it, but you're like chasing it around.
It was
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
The last run, I tell you, the last run was the worst. I had every single lizard, gecko, anything hissing at me like that. I was like, what have you been feeding them? They got proper attitude.
Have any of mine been aggressive with you? I don't think I've given you anything aggressive.
No, I don't think so. But if you did last time, you did. Because they were all on one.
But Rhys keeps gecko food on board as well as live food as well. So because there are times when we can't do everything as quickly as we'd like when it comes to delivering them. So we do make sure that they are cleaned out, they are watered every night. We take the water and food out during the day because obviously with transport, especially with Leos, the last thing we want them to do is be in a wet container. So in the mornings, Rhys generally does another check. He takes out the water and the food. If anything has made its bed all wet and a mess, he'll give it a quick change before he sets off. It's not so bad with the Cresties. If they knock their water over and it's a bit wet, it's fine. But there are animals that don't want wet. So, as you say, it's looking after them like we would our own. It's the same routine. It's watering them every day. It's feeding them every other day, depending on the animal.
If I can feed them. If they let me.
Without them thinking you're food.
Obviously, we can't feed the snakes because we've got no way really of keeping a supply of mice or rats on board, and it's knowing what size of food. So, but then most snakes can go quite well without eating.
Well, yeah, they can go months sometimes. Can't they?
I know the likes of like Cresties can go a long time without eating as well. But if we can feed them, we will.
Yeah.
Even like the beardies, if you have any big beardies or the Aki monitors, and they have any big locusts or anything like that, we'll take them on board.
We go out there. We do a shop before you leave with
quite
live food. Stock up.
Quite a few of those
what
locusts
doesn't get
hopping
eaten,
around the van when I'm trying to sleep. I'm like, what's that?
Oh no!
Trying to catch the thing.
As long as it doesn't go in your mouth.
Probably nice and crunchy. Celebrity, get me out of there.
Oh,
There'll be one for them, one for me.
Little one for you, little one for you. I'll have this.
You can have the guts in.
That'd be gross.
So that's basically it, really. I just check them every
as often
all day.
As you can,
yeah.
Without
Even if I
disturbing
stop,
them.
if I stop for a coffee or to fill up, I will open the van, just have a quick scan, make sure everything's all right, no alarms going off, jobs are good, and set off again. So, and that's because I'm in the back as well, sleeping. If an alarm goes off at night, I'm there straight away to sort it out.
It's going in your ear. You're waking up whether you want to or not. So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if an alarm did go off and there was a problem with the chamber, at least then I can just gut the chamber, get them all out, put them into a different one, and turn that one off.
Yeah, that's actually really smart that you can obviously individual chambers. Yeah, that's actually really well thought out. Yeah.
And we still got quite a few chambers to build, haven't we? So.
Yeah, the van is still a work in progress. So at the moment, aesthetically, it's not as pretty as we'd like. We've made sure that everybody has what they need animal-wise, and then slowly we're prettifying it and adding in more chambers where we need to. Yeah.
That's good. Functionality first.
Yeah.
We have to put functionality first. What is your would you say your max capacity on the current van? Would you say you've got a max capacity, or would you say it's more determined on, how many larger animals you're taking and that
it's
sort of thing?
It's determined more on size. I mean, we are taking hundreds of animals each run. But it's generally, you know, we take the first 3 days are always the busiest because that's mostly picking up, and then it's you pick up 2, you drop off 3, so it kind of regulates itself right nicely. When I'm making the booking, something else I do is I tally up the number at the bottom of how many animals or containers we have on board, and then I will then work out from that point. How many we're picking up on each day and delivering. But we can probably, as I say, it depends greatly on size, but we can take a lot. It is hard to determine. I mean, it's like crested geckos. We can probably take close to 300 crested geckos in the smaller blast tubs, you know, so but at the moment we're nowhere near capacity, so I'm not like massively focused on can we fit it all in, because I know we can.
Do you aim to have reptiles collected and delivered within like a certain time frame? Have you got that goal in mind?
Yeah, we try to do maximum
as soon as possible is our goal,
pretty much.
It doesn't always work out that way, but most stuff is delivered within 3 days, and we're comfortable with that. I mean, I know that we can look after animals for longer than that, and there is the occasional time where we will have an animal on board for 6 days, but them animals have always arrived happy and healthy. The people we've delivered to have always been really happy with that, because we are so switched on with the care of the animal. You know, we, even though we don't like them being on for 6 days, we know that they will be okay for that length of time.
I mean, if they're on for that length of time and they are a relatively friendly animal, not hissy and growly, I will take it out, check it, make sure, you know, he's okay, that he hasn't bashed himself, rubbed himself or anything.
Yeah, because that's one thing, the small confinement, especially with the snakes, they can rub themselves. Yeah. So occasionally,
if they're, you know, they're okay and they're on for that length of time, I will handle them then. But I don't tend to handle them. I won't. I'm not going to sit there going, oh, hello, look at this. I don't want to stress them out. As beautiful as they look. Yeah, as beautiful as that. You know, most of them even look. I won't handle it unless obviously I need to. So. It's nice to try and have them on for about, as I said, 3 to 4 days.
3 days max is our aim. I mean, quite a few we're still delivering within 24 to 48 hours. You know, when you're picking up from, like this run, we're picking up from Falmouth and we're delivering up the other side of Glasgow. Trying to do that and pick up, and, you know,
as far as last time.
Trying to keep costs down as well. We need to try and do the run as efficiently as possible. With fuel prices going as they are, we have had to just increase our prices. But
reluctantly.
We can't sort of, knowing that we can take care of an animal over a longer period of time, we can't justify going out of our way to push that 3 days when it's such a long trip and we have so many other pickups and deliveries on the way to there. I mean, obviously we would love to. In the future, we would love to be able to run 2 vans and be able to then, you know, work it so that we can shorten the time out and we have someone focusing more on up north and then us more down south.
We split it that way, where we meet at a certain point, hand them over, and I then go down, and he goes up, job's a good one.
Or she.
Yeah.
So does each run last for 8 days each time? Is that the, or can some be less than
at the moment? That is the case. We are roughly getting, the orders we get every month are roughly 8 days. On the months we got Donny, like this month, our run is only 7 days. But they don't generally, I think we did have one that was 10. But they don't generally go any longer than that.
To be honest, it's not safe to do any longer than that. For me, all the animals, you know, it's
you got to consider yourself.
Some of these animals can be incredibly expensive, and obviously someone catch wind that you're doing that, that's your safety then, that's compromised, because the longer you're out on your own.
He does actually have safety features on board for that. We have heard stories about things that have happened to other couriers, and also you've seen some pretty colourful characters out there yourself. As well as being threatened. So he does actually carry mace, which is connected to an app that goes straight to the police, and also messages me when it's set off.
And a ratchet.
That's rather more appropriate than what I was sat thinking, because I was thinking, oh, he's got this well cool button that he presses, this big red button, and then spikes come out the tires, and then like pepper spray comes out the window, and like literally you annihilate someone.
Go down.
Oh, the moral of the story is we live in Mad Max.
Sorry, I've got an overactive imagination.
That is much cooler.
But yeah, I've had a few.
You've only had one person threaten you.
Well, one
and that
threatened
was
me,
because they misread your message and got really irate.
Yeah, it's just he ain't using us again. That's the end of that one. But yeah, but there is a lot.
What did you do?
Basically, sometimes Rhys runs early, and on this occasion he was running really early. So he messaged the guy and he said, "I can be with you by so and so a time if that's okay." And the guy read it that I'm going to be with you by this time, and got really shitty because it was like only gave him 20 minutes to get home. Because obviously if you're running early, you can't always give people an hour's notice that you're running early. So he got really funny about it and basically said, well, my wife's home and it's a good job I'm not going to be. What was it? It was a good
basically,
job.
it was like, he was basically telling me that it was a good job he weren't at home because he would have kicked my head in, basically. And I got on the phone to him and was like, do you know what? I'm not even going.
You did.
I did in the end.
You did deliver.
I did in the end. I delivered it and I was like, there you go. See you later. Done. But
when I said what did you do with him, I meant like where did you bury him? I didn't mean like what did he do. I need to go to bed.
I remember when you texted me saying you were coming early here. That was me in panic mode. I literally nearly bum slid down the stairs.
I don't mind when people come earlier. I quite prefer when people come earlier, to be honest.
Yeah.
At any point,
you can tell me.
No. Yeah, you just say, because that's why I say, if that's okay, then you can say,
it's not okay.
Because I'm always like, if you say you're earlier, I know that if you can collect from me earlier, it helps you in the long run, especially if I'm like the first collection of the day. And usually if I get an early time slot, I'll have everything ready the night before. So it's just a case of like, I can box the geckos up in like 2 seconds. But Firecracker decided to be a pain in the backside. And I could not catch him. I literally was like, I'm going to have to come back in a second. Firecracker's being a pain. But yeah, normally everyone's quite easy to catch and it's fine.
Yeah.
Do you provide your customers at the collection and delivery ends with any paperwork, such as, a customer must sign to show that they've checked the animal when you've collected it, and also obviously at delivery, to agree that it's in good health? Or is it just a case of, like visual check?
We have receipts.
Yeah,
Pickup
is a visual check.
Yeah, pick up. Although, do apologise, the last 2 runs we haven't had them, but that's been due to issues at home China with the printer going all doolally and everything else.
But yeah, we
generally
do
have them.
Delivery receipts, which basically the seller is allowed a copy of. If they want a copy of a delivery receipt, we will provide it. We keep it sort of stored away. We keep it stored away, sort of somewhere safe at home for, well, we will keep them for a while. Basically for us and for the sellers, because if we have this, it says on there basically that the animal has arrived in visually healthy condition, that they are happy with how, that we've taken care of it and that it's all good, and that it is also the gecko that they ordered. And what that does then is also it covers our backs, because it means that they can't then turn around and say, well, the gecko arrived dead. What it also means is, I know like with PayPal, if they turn around and say they didn't receive the animal, I know PayPal's changing at the moment with being able to, something to do with animals, but I know that they will treat an animal, that you're not covered for an animal if it dies on arrival. But what you are covered for is if they pay you via PayPal goods and services, and then they say they haven't received it, if we don't have that paperwork, then you have no proof and you have to repay them. Excuse you. But if with this delivery receipt, if they try and do that, well, we can say, well, actually, no, you've signed that we delivered, which is basically proof of delivery, which covers the sellers as well as covering us to say that the animal is healthy when it gets there.
Yeah, that's good. I had mine in a fancy envelope. Prized possession when I got that. You were like, here you go. And I was like,
yeah, we're not letting people keep them anymore, sorry.
Oh my God. I'll be like, can you just send me over the PDF of it and I'll print it at home? Like, you've reminded me, I've actually need to sort my bookings out for December and January because I have, I think, 4 I need to put in.
We have people booking in for February already. It's
yeah. Oh, I need to book in
December next year.
Oh my God, don't. I've got Jo that you delivered to not long ago. She's having another one. She's having a lemon cake and trident kid. And she's already planned that next year she wants another one. And she's like, gotta get it delivered by the same people. And I was like, don't worry, I'll let them know. And she was like, you can let them know ahead of time? And I was like, yeah. I was like, can I book in for December 2022, please?
Oh, brilliant. Love it.
I do need to bookings out. It's becoming
Quick intermission to let you know the code for some awesome discounts with our amazing sponsors. Amphibipod are offering 5% off with orders under £20 with the code HerpingPod5 and 10% off orders over £20 using code HerpingPod10. Colourful Cresties are offering 10% off orders over £15 using the code THHPodcast10. Be sure to check them out and give them some love. They really deserve it.
Is it quite nerve-wracking transporting other people's animals? If it was me, I would feel worried in some capacity because, you know, you'd want to treat them as your own and stuff like that. And
it's very, very, very nerve-wracking, to be fair. Again, because it's other people's animals. And I would be devastated if anything happened to them, you know. So it is very, very nerve-wracking. But well, it is what it is, isn't it? Just got to go on with it.
Got to get on with it.
Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah.
And have you found your customers to be good so far? Have you had a good reception since you started out?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, people have been really lovely. So there's the odd couple of people that, you know, have been a bit off. It was generally always once they actually then stopped and talked and actually rethought about, they was like, oh, actually, yeah, no, that's my bad. You know, because even like the guy that threatened Rhys, in the end, he was actually fine. You know, once it was explained to him that please reread the message. This is what it says. So generally, I mean, I only deal with people over the phone and sort of via the messaging. You know, they always seem really good because there are times where we have delays, isn't there? I mean, sometimes we've ended up delayed so badly it's been gone midnight that we've got to someone.
Well, I think I had about 12 accidents on the M25 in one day, and I was stuck solid for 4 or 5 hours and didn't get to the person until about 20 past 1, I think it was, in the morning. And I felt horrendous, you know, but at least we gave them the option, didn't we, of whether you can have it the next day or do you want it now. And they were perfectly fine.
They were really good.
As long as we keep them up to date with everything, they were really good.
Yeah, as long as you keep people in the loop, like I don't care when you deliver to me. It could be 3 a.m. I honestly don't mind. As long as I'm told, I can keep my eyes open. Like I say that I don't go to sleep until like 5 in the morning, but not the point. But yeah, it's all about communication.
The only one time I will never text you is if you're the first delivery, and it's 5 a.m. that I leave. And I normally will text you an hour before. I won't text you then. I'll only text you half hour or when I think it's appropriate to text you because you need to sleep. You know, I don't work like that. I won't text you.
You can say that to me. I won't sleep.
Fair enough. We're going to hers at like 3
if you're ever the first person and you think you're going to be early, just let me know the day before and then I'll just have everything ready for you. I don't mind odd time.
Don't panic.
Honestly. If it's ever me, just
so it is.
Yeah, everyone, to be fair, pretty much everyone has been really lovely.
Have you ever had anybody book in but collection unavailable or vice versa at the delivery of the animal nobody answers or is unavailable? And if so, how did you deal with that, or how would you deal with that?
I'll let
Take
you
it
answer
home,
the
you've
first
got a
bit.
new Reptile.
No, I don't think we have.
We've
We've
had
had a few not answer
because they're on the toilet or something.
Yeah, or they're just.
We've had people forget, but they've then had someone else has been home or something in place.
Yeah, we've delivered 2 minutes down the road, to a friend or a family member.
Yeah, because we're always happy to do that. If they're not going to be home, we will deliver to sort of their place of work if that's practical, or friend or family, as long as it's sort of fairly local to where they are. But we do have a process that basically, because we can't bounce back to people, and so we try and explain this when they do the booking, that it is important. We will hang around for a small length of time. As I say, I give Rhys 15 minutes to half an hour for them to then get back. But if we can't get hold of them and they're just, they're not there, and we've waited that length of time, we will then take the animal away with us. And what we will then do is we will contact the seller who we've picked up from, and we will let them know the situation. And then contact the seller and let them know what's happened, that we still have the animal on board, that we was unable to deliver. And depending on where the seller is, we will swing round on the way back and drop it back to the seller. I mean, if we can get hold of the person it's going to, and we can swing back to them, we will. But if we can't, we'll then return it to the seller and do it again. Or if worst comes to the worst, we would have to bring it home and then take it back out with us on the next run and look after it ourselves at home until that situation.
I mean, it even comes to the point that if I wasn't comfortable with having it at home,
depending on what it is,
I would take it home and then do a separate run just to take it back, sort it out with the seller and take it back up sort of as a complete separate run.
Because not every reptile or whatever we are equipped for at home.
Yeah.
So it's sort of animal dependent. But if something like a Leo or a Cresty or a Beardy, generally for a short period of time, we have somewhere we can keep it. We have empty tanks, God knows how. But so far, touch wood, we've not had to do that. It's been a case of, if they've not answered, they're on the toilet or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tend to ring as well. If I don't get no answer, then I'll ring them, or even text message if I can't ring them. Yeah. Generally, they answer and oh my God, I'm so sorry, I was indisposed, or
That is like my worry when we get a time frame, or we used to get a time. We've not had animals for a while. We've been on the ball with that one. We've been good this year. But when we ever have a time frame for anything, it's like, right, for this next hour, I can't go anywhere because I'm dead conscious. For a fact, the second you go, right, I'm just going to risk it. There's going to be that knock on the door.
Yeah, that's why we don't generally do try and call people from the stop before to say, right, the sat nav says we're going to be here at this time, just so they have a smaller window to wait around for. Because I'm like that. If I know something's coming, I will literally sit at the window. So if I have an hour's time frame, I'll be sat there. It doesn't matter how much I need to pee or whatever, I will be glued to the window.
Yeah, I won't.
Well, for future reference, I do add on 15 minutes to that time that I text you because of delays of traffic or whatever. So, I might say I'm going to be there at 11:45, but actually I'm due there at 11:30. But I will do that.
That's half an hour. That's not good.
Right, so from now on, I'm going to take 15 minutes.
Oh.
I'm going to take 15 minutes from every time that you give me now. And if you're not there,
I've had a few people do that. They've messaged me at sort of like 10 o'clock and said, it said you'd be with me between 8 and 9, but no one's turned up.
This is like 3 o'clock.
No, they message at like 10. And so I'll look at the thing, and it's like, you do realise it's between 8 and 9 tonight. It says PM, and they're like, oh, so I've started putting the 24-hour clock on now because I get that nearly every day.
Yeah, I've got to say I have done that before. Woken up early thinking it's in the morning and gone.
or it's been the wrong day completely. Where is it?
I know.
Until tomorrow.
Luke from Leaping
Due tomorrow.
I've done the wrong day thing.
I've done the wrong thing so many times.
Luke from Leaping Cresties packed his geckos up 3 days early. It's like we haven't even left for our run yet, you know.
At least he's prepared.
If you had any other challenges?
Apart from roadworks, any other challenging situations?
Apart from, van going bang.
Oh, yeah, we did have the joy of our first van.
Going bang, and then I had to
Going bang. Yeah, we had to get towed home. We had to bring everybody's reptiles home.
Which was lucky, really, because they weren't going to pick me up with the reptiles. They told
didn't
me,
want to.
You go on a train with the reptiles. And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
How am I supposed to do that?
So our breakdown is now sorted. That if we break down, they'll bring the reptiles home as well.
Yeah, it wasn't our breakdown people that we have now. It was a totally different one. I mean, they didn't even want to take the van with the reptiles in. Sorry, they didn't want to take. They didn't want me to take the reptiles in the van. In their van. They wanted me to leave them in that van. That wasn't working, by the way, obviously.
Yeah.
So no temperature.
There was no heating
on the back of their van while going down the motorway. I was like, nah, no
so
chance.
I suppose that's a challenging situation because we had to get them home. I then had to message everybody and let them know that there would be a day's delay. We then had to find a hire vehicle, and because of the amount of miles left, the only thing we could hire was a car. So we had to
poly boxes,
rig up loads of poly boxes and all of that to make sure that everything was kept warm.
I think you delivered to us in the car, was it?
What's that one? Yeah. That was your hot nose,
yeah.
So
So I had to rig up all the poly boxes and everything, all heat pads, a lot, which was very stressful.
Yes.
You know?
So to end the podcast, what are your aspirations with the Courier? Is it something you'd like to expand upon, such as, wider than the UK, or is it something you'd like to keep as a family-run courier business in the UK? Because I know you mentioned you'd love to have, 2 vans eventually.
I don't think at the moment going to Europe or anything is going to be an option, because obviously what's going on with Europe at the moment,
Brexit and stuff. But
and it's really expensive. I mean, we were asked to courier a gecko on it to was it Isle of Wight or Isle of
No, this was actually Ireland. That was Ireland, and that was really expensive.
And it was only a £40, obviously, gecko. It was quite a standard cheap one, and it would have ended up being about 500 quid.
So we're looking at.
It's not worth it.
We're looking at sticking with England, Wales, and Scotland.
Yeah,
it could be in future. We might bridge out to just go across and do ham, but. We just want to see what happens, because obviously, like you say, we are small, we're a family run, it's just us two and the kids, and maybe we'll bring someone else in, maybe we won't, we don't know, we'll just see how it goes. I mean, it is slowly getting bigger.
If the demand went for Europe and we could bring someone else in, and maybe they can do that side of it, but I'd be really funny about someone else coming in. I'd be I'd be very picky. Really, you need to follow all the credentials and stuff and things. They'd have to know what they were doing to hand over the baby that is MCC and trust them with basically our reputation. So because the last thing we want is someone that doesn't actually care about the animals taking over and not doing what they need to. So it's sort of we're kind of playing it by ear, carry on as we are at the moment, and see where demand takes us, really.
And enjoy it. Enjoy what you're doing and what you're creating and
I mean, we really like dealing with the people. There are some really nice people that give you chocolate bars and really cute clothes for the kids.
But no.
Thank you so much to Shelley and Rhys of MCC Reptile Couriers for joining us on this week's podcast, Reptiles on the Run. It's been great to hear all about the ins and outs of being a reptile courier, what is to be expected when making a booking, and how the customer end-to-end process works. Hopefully tonight we've managed to alleviate some of your anxieties with having a reptile courier across the miles, because MCC are cracking at what they do. We'd just like to take this time to also make an exciting announcement. We've welcomed on board Danielle of Herptile Hammocks as our third sponsor, As you'll know, we included some of Danielle's products in our giveaway recently, and she's doing a great job of producing fantastic products for the herp owners out there. We'd love to support her on her journey as a small business within the UK, and we are delighted to have her to join our Herping Hour family alongside our other 2 amazing sponsors. Please be sure to listen out on the next podcast for the fantastic discounts provided to our listeners from all 3 of our sponsors. Be sure to check out all of Amphibipod's products. He's also able to welcome ideas you may have and bring them to life. Please also check out Lauren over at Colourful Cresties. She makes some amazing bespoke naturalistic products for your reptile friends. She's currently nursing a wrist injury, but will be back at it very soon. And of course, please go and welcome and follow our brand new sponsor, Danielle, over at Herptile Hammocks for some amazing reptile hammocks, cushions and accessories. Some of the products Danielle produces can be used in conjunction with Richard's products over at Amphibipod. Thanks again to Shelley and Rhys for joining us. It's been really informative and we've all really enjoyed it. It's been great, thank you. Thank all our listeners who tune into our podcast each week. We really appreciate all the support and the feedback we get from you.
Thank you.
Thank you for
much.
joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
It's been
thank you very
great.
much.